Right guys, today we're going to be filling a hole in a plasterboard wall and we're going to get it so good that you won't even see it was ever there. Now the reason I've got this hole here is because I needed to get some cables down the wall and there was a noggin through there, so I had to cut a hole in the wall so I could drill a hole in the noggin. So we've got this hole, it's about 1 inch wide and about 4 inches high. What we're going to do first is we're going to stuff it with insulation. Looks good already. Now I'm going to fill it with masonry adhesive. I'm going to blow all the dust out first and we're just going to whack it in there. Make sure we squish it all in there. There's a new word. Fill it up. Saw cut down there as well that I needed to fill, because when I measured the noggin that was over there, that was the height of it, but this one over here is a different height. I don't know why, who knows. Right, now when that's dry, I'm going to come back for a second coat of a different product. So before this goes completely dry, take your scraper again and just cut off any of the protruding filler. Now mine's actually gone hard now, it's the next day. You don't need to leave it a whole day. Once it's gone hard, you can hit it again. The only thing is, all the moisture is still in that. That's why it's still that color. Now if you see down here, the little cut that I made, that's a different color now, and that's because that's all actually dried out and there's no moisture in there. And this is a 4-part process. One, to fill it completely. The second is to face it over, that's the one we're doing now. The third is to skim it over the top, which is our sanding coat. Last thing we do is sand it. So let's hit it with our second coat. Now, we've just got to wait for it to dry. Now that's dry, it's time for the top coat. And what we're going to use for that is the good old Knauf fill and finish. That's the best stuff. Okay, so with this top coat, what we want to do is we want to get it as wide as our blade will let us. So you can get a nice bit, nice and wide on the blade. And go over the whole area like that. Nice and wide, because when we sand this back, we're not just going to be sanding the patch there, we want to be sanding the whole patch. We're covering the whole thing up. So just get it over like that, and then when it comes to the edges, what you want to do is you want to push on that edge there. So that we're literally bending the blade like this, so that we take just that edge off, just round the outside. So if you don't take the edges off, it just means you're wasting more of this material. But that's fine, it doesn't really matter, you don't have to do it, I just do it because I don't like sanding. You want to make sure that you cover the whole area. Make sure you can't see it very well. Now that's ready for sanding once it's dry tomorrow, because there's still a lot of moisture in there. And we're going to get rid of all that moisture before we sand it, otherwise we'll be dragging this off. Okay, so we'll look at that tomorrow. Okay, now for the final touch on this, just a light sand with a sponge sanding block. And what we're going to do is just go around the edges and make sure the edges aren't sharp and make sure they're smooth, and then we can go over the whole thing until we can feel it nice and smooth. around the outside like this. Keep feeling everything, make sure there's no edge there. That's what we're trying to get rid of, is that edge between the wall and the pillar. Once you can't feel it with your fingers, it's pretty well gone. And then I'm just going to go over it lightly, just take off any high spots. As you go over it, you can feel it dragging, whereas pulling off the excess. What we don't want to do is go too far with this. We don't want to be able to see the hole that we filled. Now that is absolutely perfectly smooth. And once we've got paint on that, you'll never see it. Guaranteed. So that's the repair, all completely finished. I can't even see where it is myself now. I know that it's directly above this socket here, this power point, but I can't actually see it. I've got a decent powered torch here, and I'm just shining it across that wall, and even with that shining on there, I can't see where the patch is. So that's it, wall all patched up. So hopefully your repair works out just as good as this one. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one.